For Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday next week with temps in the high 20s to low 30s. Currently 21 degrees. More news as it happens on FiveAA.
This is FiveAA Breakfast. Thanks to National Pharmacies. Save 40% on the complete Blackmores range. Show your members card and save before Feb 24.
Good morning, everyone. Tony Piccolo is the Emergency Services Minister. He will be joining us after 7 o'clock. He's feeling the heat this morning, not just from the Weather Bureau, but also the CFS volunteers as well. So the Minister after 7.
Well, those of you who are night owls and listen to our good mate Peter Godfrey between midnight and 6 a.m. will probably be familiar with our next guest. His name is Selwyn Manning. He's from the website livenews.co.nz, and he is one of the most plugged-in journalists in New Zealand. And he joins Peter earlier in the week, every week, to bring our listeners up to speed with all the latest developments over the ditch. It's always a terrific segment, and
I love it.
Given that we're night owls now, Jane, I often sort of catch the tail end of it when I'm getting ready for work. So we have decided that every Friday at this time we will be talking to Selwyn, and he joins us now. Selwyn, good to have you, mate. I've always really enjoyed your spots with Peter, and we're thrilled that you're going to be part of our show every Friday here.
It's great to be in good company there, and thanks for that intro. What can you say in response to that? It's good to be a part of it.
Absolutely, mate. Hey, look, our Foreign Minister, Julie Bishop, has had a big week here for all the wrong reasons with the leadership dramas, but yesterday she held a joint press conference with the Iraqi Foreign Minister, Ibrahim al-Jaafari. Now, he is on his way now to New Zealand, where it looks like the Kiwis are going to be under some sort of pressure to actually commit to the war against ISIS.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Al-Jaafari is going to be meeting with our Foreign Minister, McCully, later this morning. And the pressure has been mounting for some time now, particularly since Christmas, for New Zealand to basically come into the fold, to get into the family, meaning the United States, the UK, Canada and Australia, and take its part. Now, like you know, New Zealand did not take part in the invasion of Iraq back in 2003. It stood independently from that, and the Labour-led government at that time, led by Helen Clark, the Prime Minister back then, said New Zealand would only embark on such things if it was endorsed by the United Nations. So that's underscoring New Zealand's independent brand, if you like. Now, what's happened since then is we've had changes of government back in 2008. We've had John Key as the Prime Minister, and very much a more US, that particular Five Eyes, if you want to call it that way, type friendly government. We've seen the friendly status of New Zealand and Australia. New Zealand and the United States warming by degrees, if you like, ever since the mid-2000s. And that big rock in the road that used to be there, the New Zealand anti-nuclear stance, is not the problem that it once was. So all of that is the juxtapositioning of the politics around it, that this is New Zealand's chance, if you like, to demonstrate to the other big nations in this group that it's going to do its bit. Now, the Prime Minister, in leading up to today, in the last few weeks in particular, has taken every opportunity to justify his belief that New Zealand should take its part in defeating the Islamic State. It's believed here that the New Zealand government also wants Iraq to formally ask it for help, and we understand that that was a similar kind of situation that was developing in Australia yesterday, and that request is basically designed to satisfy New Zealand's foreign policy needs and also international law concerns.
So, Selwyn, how are New Zealanders themselves reacting to the prospect of being involved in this conflict?
Well, it's mixed. I would say that the majority of New Zealanders are saying, what is going on up there in that region of Iraq and Syria is obviously an abhorrence. That New Zealand takes a role in global affairs. While we're isolated down here in the South Pacific, we certainly embrace this global community, and we should do something to get up there. There are others who are saying, yes, that may be right, but we really do need to nail down the terms of our engagement up there. And I noticed that's the big thing there, really. Like Australia, like the United States, like the UK, there's New Zealand is expected to commit training soldiers to train a training contingent up there. And the British Foreign Minister that was in Australia and New Zealand a couple of weeks ago, he really nailed down the numbers, and he was saying that Australia looks prepared, for its 600 soldier commitment to that training deployment, but there's a minimum of 1,000 soldiers required in that task from down under. So New Zealand is expected at the very least to come up with around 100. Now, the big deal around that is that New Zealand is now starting to talk up the necessity of having its SAS combat troops in with that contingent, they're saying, to provide the security for its own personnel up there. We expect it's going to be in a military base north of Baghdad, up in the Taji base it's referred to. That's just north of Baghdad, and we believe that that's where the deployment will take place. But the formal decisions have got to be made later. So the request will come in today. The Cabinet will meet early next week, and no doubt there will be some decisions made hot on the heels of that.
Now, Selwyn, the big story in sport here is that we're obviously all getting very excited about the World Cup of cricket kicking off tomorrow with Australia v England. We've got India v Pakistan here at our own Adelaide Oval on Sunday, but a lot of our listeners, it's probably passed them by, that New Zealand is also the joint host nation, and you guys have just had your opening ceremony there.
Yeah, we have. That opening ceremony was held at Hagley Park in Christchurch, and that's been the home of cricket for decades. It's a big deal for Christchurch in particular. It's still coming to terms with the devastating Christchurch earthquake a few years ago. So this is one of the ways that it can show not just New Zealand, but also the world, that it is back on its feet and it's progressing. What we saw last night was this. It was amazing. While it wasn't on par with perhaps the Olympic openings and things like that, and there was never an expectation it would be. But the Fairfax news site Stuff, it described it here as a mixture of cricket, culture and comedy in the opening ceremony last night, and that certainly seemed to do that. What we saw is, I'm just flicking through its website at the moment. We've got people in old 19th century type of clothing. We've got even Morris dancers. I think they were representing the English, to be honest.
Morris dancers.
It wouldn't be Kiwis, I don't think. Mind you, they're dressed in green and gold. So maybe they're having a dig at you guys over close to the edge.
Well, mate, you guys have been playing some pretty good cricket. There's a chance that we might meet up in the pointy end of the series, and if we do, we might have to dust off this old chestnut from a few years ago.
No.
Let us beat New Zealand. It's just not fair, but I don't care. It's just not fair, but I don't care. As long as we beat, as long as we beat, as long as we beat New Zealand.
Well, there you go. You got me by surprise on that one. I didn't have one in retaliation for you.
You could do a haka.
Do they do the haka? Do the cricketers do the haka? They don't, do they?
No, they're not too flash at that. They can't do it holding on to their bat, It'd look a little bit rough on the TV, I think. But, that'd be an amazing game, wouldn't it? But look at it in the first stages. Really that one at the NCG tomorrow between Australia and the English team is obviously going to really sort out who's on form, isn't it? New Zealand, there's a lot of, I was saying to Peter earlier in the week on your radio station, that there's a lot of chatter here in New Zealand, a lot of confidence around the Kiwi team. And like you underscored just then, there's really good form coming into this. They've beaten Pakistan, they've beaten the Sri Lankans, although the Sri Lankans the first game tomorrow for the Kiwis, so that will sort that one out. And there's some really good bowling coming into that Sri Lankan team, which the Kiwis are worried about. But generally, it's all on. It's really game on here, and I guess with it being on our home turf, there's the extra sparkle if we get through it.
We're all looking forward to it.
Good luck for New Zealand, and as you said, Selwyn, it's a great thing for the city of Christchurch, which is still recovering from that shocking earthquake. Selwyn Manning, thanks so much for joining us from livenews.co.nz, and we look forward to talking to you every Friday.
6:45. Thank you, Selwyn, for that. Hey, from New Zealand, let's head back home and join our very good friends at Police Media. Senior Constable Tim Sydenham joins us. G'day, Tim. How you going?